All right, folks, we are live, and lo and behold, it looks like I have a lag. This is the first time I'm actually using software to do a live stream. So I don't know what can be done about this lag. Is there a lag? You notice the lag or not? Um, Doing a live stream with the software, and yeah, uh, amazing day, amazing day. The hostages are back. Can we celebrate? How much should we celebrate? And how much should we be looking ahead at the days to come? Tell me, do you guys notice the lag? Sorry that I'm just not with it because I feel like I'm lagging a little bit, and I'm not sure what can be done about that. Yeah. What do you say? Is it lagging for you, or do you see it properly? A little bit lagging, right? A little bit lagging. That's very frustrating. I'm trying to Mazel Tov, they're finally home. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. No lag, great. No lag, you sure? I feel like I'm lagging a little bit, but maybe that's just my personal, it's fine now. Okay, great, great. Okay, now I can release the, release some emotion. Incredible day, of course. Hostages are home. It's surreal. It's like surreal. We already became used to this being the reality, that we have these people that are just stuck in Gaza. We're never going to get them out. And here they are coming home. And I don't know. I don't know what levers Trump pulled. I don't know what levers. 3 years of peace, says Marah. I don't know. 3 years of peace. Is that what's in for us? We shall see. Analia Vargon says hi. Good to see you. So yeah, look, we have got the living hostages back. They also returned today 4 deceased hostages. Remember, there's another 28, I think, dead bodies being held in Gaza. That's also very important for Israel to get out. The Hamas are kind of delaying releasing them, so we'll have to see if they do that. Although I think after they release the living hostages, I don't see why they would refuse to release the dead ones. So that's something that we have to look for. And in the meanwhile, Trump came here to Israel. He gave a speech also in the Israeli Knesset. If you guys want to see that, let's do a little share screen here. That we have Mr. Trump.
This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. This is not only the end of a war.
Mr. Trump there. A historic dawn of a new Middle East, according to him. We're going to get into that in a second. First, I am just going to put in a little poll here. Is this the beginning of a real peace, as Trump said? Trump said. Okay? Oops, end Q&A. Sorry about that. Wait. We have to start a poll. Yes, no. There we go. Start a poll. All right, like the good old days, the polls on Insightful Nomad. It's coming. Okay. So yeah, oops, what? I am still in the wrong is that me? What are you seeing over here? That is okay. That is what should be the live. All right, great, great, great. Yeah, so we're very happy over here in Israel, and it's an incredible feeling. I saw some of the footage from Hostage Square. I thought about going there. I ended up not going today. I was probably quite manic there. It's going to be interesting to see what they make of the square now that the hostages are back, if they're going to put up some type of memorial for the hostages that were killed. I assume they will. It'll be interesting to see. We're already seeing signs change from bring them home to welcome home, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty crazy. And the emotions were really intense. I mean, I can show you here like what happens. Just one example of when you bring back a hostage and he meets his family. It's just insane. Talking to family on the phone there as well. And those were his parents who they just broke down when they saw him, and it's just, oh wait, no, not again. Yeah, just great to see. Just great to see that outpouring of the emotions. So yeah, that's what it's like when the hostages reunite. Anthony asks, do you think that the pro-Palestinian mentality is that Israel is illegitimate and only a Palestinian state is what should be in the land? And is this the only roadblock to two-state solution? That's a pretty accurate assessment. I wouldn't say it's the only roadblock, but I would definitely say that the Palestinian ethos is that Israel shouldn't exist, is that it's all Palestine. It was stolen from them by the Zionists, and they're going to get it back for sure. It's not a fight over a specific border or territory. The occupation, as they call it, is everything from the river to the sea. So yeah. And there's some people in Israel also hold the same position the other way around. But I think Israel's shown that with Arab states, that it's capable of making peace with its neighbors. It doesn't have this hell-bent ideological idea that Arabs or Muslims can't be self-determined. It doesn't have a 1,000+ year history of Arabs, Muslims living under the sovereignty of Jews. So that's like the only thing that can be in the world is that Arabs live under Jews. So Arabs can't have states. There's no history of that in the ethos of Israel, and it's not possible demographically because Israel is a minority, so it's nonsense. On the other hand, if you reverse it, it's totally the case. They view the Jews as being their subjects. Jews live under the sovereignty of the Muslim Arab empires as subjects, as dhimmi, and that's their place, and they are not supposed to have a state. So, yeah, I would definitely say that is the case. All right, who else? We have 16 viewers. All right, guys, come on, let's get this going. I'm still waiting. I have my partners over there that I'm working with to help me make a nice thumbnail to get some people going here. And yeah. Anyway, I hope I'm not lagging over here. I wanted to talk a lot about in this live stream because the hostages were released earlier today, and you know, people got to see it, and we saw the release and everything. So that's kind of done. The emotions of that, and you know, as someone who worked in journalism, my question is always, what's next? You know, not just. I mean, we have to celebrate the moment for sure. We have to celebrate this moment that we're in, but there's a question of what's going to happen next, and that's a question about, like I said, returning the deceased people, but also what's going to happen to Hamas in Gaza, because there is already signs of what Israel was trying to avoid, yeah, what Israel was trying to avoid. Wait, I'm just going to move over here. In this war. Oh, no. There. I can't get a good frame here. Anyway, yeah, what Israel didn't want to happen in this war, which is Hamas to retake the control of Gaza Strip and kind of go back to the situation that we were. And there are signs already that that's what's going to happen. I can show you here a clip. We go like this, and here it is. This is in Gaza, and that is Hamas. You'll see it again, basically beating up. I don't know if you can see that over there, but like beating up opposition inside the strip, which they faced. And now that they're reasserting their control, they are beating people who didn't support them, who were against them, and are trying to retake the control of Gaza. And for me, that was always the weak point in this plan, that there's just no way to stop them from doing that. And of course, Bibi and Trump are going to sell it as this great victory and peace is coming. But I still think that very likely what we're going to see is we're just going to see Hamas reassert their control. That means that, okay, the reconstruction is going to happen and everything, but it's the resources will still be in the control of Hamas. And therefore, we're going to have more conflict to come. That's what I'm afraid of, very much afraid of. So yeah, it's a question. I still see here, I don't know what's going on with this thumbnail. Is it up? Just to get some people. We're not getting anyone here in this live stream so far. I used to get more, but yeah. איזה כיף להתחבר ולראות שאתה בלייב, התגעגעתי. תמיד מאוד נשמע אותך, אתה בן אדם מרשים, כמה ידע שלך מדהים, ואתה גם מצחיק. בקיצור, אתה מעולה, תמשיך. Okay, Orca is joined, someone from Israel, saying it's good to see that I'm here doing a live again, because I haven't done that many lives. So yeah, it's great to be in the live. We're talking here about the situation now that the hostages have been released. First of all, we can allow ourselves to celebrate. It's amazing. This is the most emotional thing I've seen in this country ever, pretty much. I mean, it's just, it's incredible. And it's great that we have that moment to celebrate. We're celebrating, we're thankful. But like I said, my wheels in my head are always turning that, okay, so now what happens? What happens now? All right, we got the hostages back, and there's still a lot to be done. The deceased people that need to come back, they're starting to. Already the Hamas has kind of delayed returning some of them, which was against the confines of the deal. But perhaps that will be amended in the next day. We'll see. I'm more concerned about what's going to happen in Gaza and what's going to happen as far as the regional cooperation to try to implement parts of Trump's plan that will enable to kind of wrestle the complete control of Hamas from Gaza and try to do something like this, an international technocrat government in Gaza or something like that. We are going to go over the 21 points of Trump's peace plan here. And I couldn't find it online in a jiffy here, but I just wrote it in ChatGPT and it found it for me. So here we go, guys. Here we go. You want to take a look at this? This is the beauty of also ChatGPT. Instead of starting to look for the specific article that says, I just did it on ChatGPT and they found it for me. So we're going to go over that. Here's the plan. All right. That's the plan. Let's start going over some of these stuff. Below are the points summarized. Okay. Gaza, number one, Gaza will become a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not threaten neighboring regions. All right. Is that going to happen? Because Hamas are still there. I mean, how exactly are you going to oust them? I mean, that's already a problem. just on the first one. It's how do you achieve that? Then two, redevelop Gaza for the benefit of its people, prioritize welfare, infrastructure, jobs. All right, so this is something that, and there's probably later points that are going to talk about this, which is the whole entry of aid into Gaza. That was a very big deal. That or the reconstruction, right? So Gaza has been 70% destroyed pretty much. And now, in order for something to function there, you have to rebuild it. The reconstruction has to be conditioned on them implementing various parts of this deal. It just has to. You cannot just throw in billions of dollars now and cement and structure and everything with Hamas just roaming the streets and beating people up, as we saw earlier. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Like, if you do that, then this whole thing is for nothing. Like, you have to condition that kind of thing on implementing the other parts of the plan, which is a sideline Hamas in Gaza. Now, number three, if both parties agree, the war ends immediately, hostilities cease, Israeli forces begin phased withdrawal. So that's something that's already starting to happen. We've seen some of the forces leave Gaza. And again, they're going to be staying in some places. Netanyahu said IDF will remain deep inside Gaza. I think that's a lot for his constituency. Let's see if he's able to do that. But now it's going to be a bit difficult for Israel to remain there because the hostages are returned. So the second element of what Israel has been demanding, which has always been the more problematic one to sell to the international community, is the destruction of Hamas in Gaza and a change of reality in Gaza, right? So basically, no person of good conscience in, I don't know, anywhere in Europe, is there, even in the Arab Muslim countries, they couldn't just come out and say, oh no, the hostages don't need to come back. Like, nobody could actually say that with a straight face and it be like, okay, this is acceptable. But the other point, which is that Israel also wants to destroy Hamas, and tried to have another governing body there, to have it demilitarized. That kind of stuff is something that there's just nobody really has a stomach to try to implement. So, that's the question. Now, within 72 hours of Israel's public acceptance, all hostages, living and deceased, are to be returned. So the most important part of that clause has happened, right? All the living hostages are back, every single one. It's insane. I think that's insane. I always thought Hamas would try to hold out and keep like one or two. And again, there's a question of what levers did Trump try to squeeze on them to make them do that? Right. So Sandra says only 4 of 28 were delivered. So technically, the deal has already been broken. Yeah, that's true. I said that. That's what I said earlier. They were supposed to release all the deceased people. They only released 4. So let's see if they're gonna release the other ones as well. I think it would be strange for them to release all the living hostages and then hold on to deceased people. I don't think that strategy makes sense from Hamas perspective. So this might just be a bit of posturing. I do believe they'll return the others. Let's hope they don't play some game of, oh, we don't know where this deceased person is, and not return him. And then, a couple months later, they find him, right? And then they have another piece of bargaining chip, like the Hadar Goldin soldier who's been there since 2014, dead, yeah. That would be something right up their alley to do, because they need to try keep some bargaining chips to try to survive Hamas. So that's a question. I do believe we're going to see the return of the other deceased people soon. This is, of course, this is a breaking of the deal by Hamas. That's true, but I think that does make sense. Now, oh, okay. Oops, yeah, we're recording the screen here, and that was my. Okay, sorry. I'm just doing some new stuff with the software. My first live stream with the software, and I'm getting used to it. Okay, now Plan 5, right? After hostages are returned, Israel will release a number of Palestinian prisoners, 250 serving life sentences. Serving life sentence means terrorist, just so you know. Like, serving life sentence means someone who murdered Israelis in a brutal terror attack. And even the ones who are not serving life sentences are also very complicit in terror attacks. These can be stabbing attacks, stone throwings, accomplices of terrorists. These are just like terrorists, right? Gazans detained since October 7th, including women and children, also the remains of Palestinian dead in some proportion. So that, oh, by the way, I see the source for this is Al Jazeera. Although there's actually another two here, so not just Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, Gulf News, and Jewish. Okay, fine. So it's several. Yeah. So Israel really does not want to, and as far as I understand, have not released any of the terrorists who were apprehended on October 7th. So that would have just been too that's a line that Israel drew. It's like, no, we're not, in order to release the hostages, we are not releasing the terrorists who took part in kidnapping the hostages. Like, no, no, no. And that's something that Israel has been able to do. Unfortunately, they have had to release terrorists involved in previous attacks, but there was like a big negotiation on the list of the Palestinians who were to be released in this deal, and Israel was able to kind of maneuver it to get something more that it wanted, which was not to release the people from the October 7th attack, but still Israel is releasing many deadly people. And this is going to probably going to cost it human lives down the road, as happened in the Shalit deal, when Israel released thousands of people, 1,200 terrorists in exchange for one soldier, Gilad Shalit, and one of those was Yahya Sinwar, who led the October 7th massacre. So this is a problem. This is a problem. This is not something that should happen. Hamas should not be, nobody in the world should be saying, oh yeah, Israel, to get back your hostages, you have to release terrorists. It's a completely ridiculous, absurd thing to demand. But it was it was a pill Israel had to swallow. Israel had to swallow this pill. They had no choice because there's just, you cannot not accept the deal to get the hostages back, not, accept Trump's plan. There's just too many positives to it, but this is a really, really just a terrible element of the deal, I think, that Israel just had to swallow, So yeah, Michael Mahoney, say your goodbyes. Apparently, Egypt and Qatar put pressure on Hamas that they would lose their support if they did not agree. Yeah, but why would they put pressure on Hamas? You're right that they put pressure on Hamas, but wait one second. Oh, damn, I'll have it within 30 minutes. Okay, so let's design a thumbnail here. We can literally design a thumbnail together live on air for my live stream, because I have someone I'm working with who was going to do it for me, but he basically is a bit too busy. So yeah, I need to find something to do here, how to do it, because we're not getting anyone in the live stream, so we need a thumbnail. If I was screen sharing, you would see maybe how I make a thumbnail. I don't know if that's interesting for you, but yeah, I mean, I'm not actually that fast in doing this kind of thing. I also see my computer's lagging a bit because I have too many things that are open. But yeah, I mean, we just don't have enough people in the live stream, and when there's just a faded out a picture of my what do you call it? My profile pic in the thumbnail, then people just don't click so much, right? We need a thumbnail. So we have to do a new design here, and hopefully I don't really have time because I'm talking to you guys and I have trouble multitasking. But I think, let's see, maybe we can get a picture here from Twitter to do it. I don't know, hostages. Let's type in hostages and maybe we can like paste that in. And let's see. Let's see if we can get something. Guys, if you have a picture of a hostage, no, not a hostage, of hostage square of like all the people over there, then please share. But yeah. Promises. Oh, you know what? Okay, I found something here. It's not the best, but we can do it. So, sorry about that, guys. But we just need this is like terrible picture. No, that's not gonna work. Okay. Oh man. All right. Let's see who's still with me while I'm blabbering. I left the live stream. Okay. We got 17 people. Come on. Where is everyone? What happened to the days where we had all these people in the stream? Yep. Hi, I'm from Bangladesh, says Suhel. Kalam. Suhel Kalam. Welcome. Welcome, Suhel. Ooh. Where did everyone go? What happened to the day? No, I want photos, guys. Give me photos. I'm getting videos here. By the way, what is trending in Israel right now on Twitter? I see here, President of Indonesia, because there was this talk about him coming to Israel, maybe, and all this normalization talk with Indonesia. Something that I care about because I visited Indonesia, as you know. So that's interesting. That is interesting. I'm not seeing here any image I can use right now, which is annoying. Like I would think there would be something of use here, but on Twitter, but there is not. There is not. All I see is videos, which, okay, I can screenshot a video. This is, by the way, what you're hearing now is the deliberations that happen very often when you are making a thumbnail for a video on YouTube. You're looking for maybe an image to stick there. You're looking for a screenshot. You are, it's like that kind of thing is always happen. So yeah, just no good picture here. This is insane. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Oh, we found an image. We found an image. Okay, now we're gonna stick this in Canva. So here we go. We found a good image, thank God. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it's also not the best image because it's not in the right proportion. Okay, great. Now, I hope you guys are bearing with me here. I just need something here for the, I need a thumbnail to get viewers to click. Otherwise, we're not going to have anyone in the live stream. And yeah, that's an issue, right? Okay, so we have a text here. We have a text. And we're going to give it some color here. I'm just going to show you a bit of what I'm doing. And let's just put this here in the corner. So this, we need to, this is like what I do when I make thumbnails, right? I now have people working with me making thumbnails, but they weren't able to, oops, not list. But there is a way to get this to be advanced settings. Yeah, line spacing, right? We don't want that line spacing. This is black is not good. Change this color to, I don't know, yellow, right? We're gonna change the font to something a bit more nice. And we can do an effect here, something like that, or this one I like. And we have, and then we will do this will become red, Q, and A, right? Maybe join me live. Join me live. And a picture. I don't know. Let's find a picture of myself. This is like all the stuff I've been doing. Problem is I don't even have, oh, I can take this one. By the way, I don't know what happened to the saturation of this image because you see how it's like not in focus? This is something I do when I make a thumbnail. So like I'll increase the saturation. This is like you get to see the behind the scenes here. You increase the the sharpness, clarity. You see how all of a sudden it pops, right? So join me live. No, you know what? Fuck the join me live. Fuck the join me live. Sorry for my language. No, we don't need this. This, we don't need this. This is centralized, right? And that's it. That's it. There we go. There we go, baby. That is how you make a thumbnail. And this we're going to adjust. Also, we're just going to make it a little more sharp, give it more clarity, give it more saturation. Where's the saturation? You know what? It also needs a bit of brightness. It's a bit dark. Give it a bit more brightness and a bit of saturation. And we download. Not PNG because then sometimes it's too big. Voila. Voila. We won the war, says Tal. We won the war. Taloran, thank you for the 6-hour stream today, bro. I saw parts of that. You nailed it like a king. Pictures of hostages. There's a lot of streaming going on right now. All right. So Tal did a big stream earlier today. That's why I'm trying to focus a bit on kind of like what's happens next, because like all this celebration is kind of over at this point. By the way, this is what I see. This is the interface. This is the live streaming interface. But we got a download. Hostages are home. What next? Show in Finder. We have that. And now we can go to our studio. We can go to our lives. We can go to this. And we can change the image of the thumbnail. And now you should see wait, there. So now you'll have a normal pic. And now maybe more people will click and watch the live stream now that we've done that, gotten that out of the way. Okie dokie, folks. Okie dokie. Let's go back to live. There we are. Yeah. Oh, we got some people. We got 24 people in the live stream. That's nice. Traveling Clap was here to say hi. Did a good live stream. There's a question, what's going to happen now to our content now that maybe the war might be over? If we're going to change to kind of more positive content, we'll see. But as I said, you know, question of what's happening next. We were going through the Trump points, right? So let's go back to the Trump points. So we were at number 4, the hostages return within 72 hours. After hostages are returned, Israel needs to release all these terrorists. Terrible, terrible clause, absolutely terrible clause that Israel had to swallow. And now we are going to number 5. Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and decommission weapons will be granted amnesty. Those who prefer to leave Gaza will be allowed safe passage abroad. That is, again, something that there's a problem of someone who committed the terror attacks October 7th, participated, helped, and now it's like, okay, here's amnesty or whatever. But again, it's kind of like a pill that needs to be swallowed for this deal to go through. So, okay, some of the people, it's like, you want out of the conflict, you're out. There you go. You can leave and or you can get amnesty or whatever. So that's okay. Like that's not necessarily a huge threat to Israel. Aid will surge into Gaza immediately, covering essential services like water, power, hospitals, bakeries, remove rubble, roads, act. Again, this is a problem. The aid needs to be conditioned on Hamas being removed. And this sounds like I'm being, too demanding. Like, we'll just say thank you and whatever that you got the hostages. But this was always the second element of the war that Israel needed, which is to not go back to the situation that was. And if the aid just comes in and Hamas are doing what we saw earlier, beating up people and retaking control, they're just going to take that aid, or they're going to rebuild and then just reassert themselves, and we're going to be back in the same situation. So I think you really need aid needs to flow in conditionally. This should have been in the first part of the war. This was the huge mistake Israel made. And literally in the first month of the war, the aid is conditioned, should have been conditioned then on the hostages, conditioned on this, conditioned on that. It was not conditioned. It was no, you have to bring in aid no matter what. No matter what. And of course, this is an issue of the international community. It's like, no, the aid is, nobody owes you aid. The international community doesn't own a Hamas-run Gaza aid after everything they did. No, the aid is conditioned. You step aside, you implement parts of the plan, you get the aid, and then you can get as much aid as you want. And I'm not against aid. Like, I'm not against if it's going for actually building things and not going for strengthening the regime of a terrorist group. All right, big problem. Aid distribution to be handled by neutral international agencies, UN, Red Crescent, and others, without interference from either side. It's nice and good sounds, but again, depends who's actually controlling Gaza. What we've seen in the past 20 years is that with Hamas in complete control of Gaza, then none of these organizations are truly independent in there. They're there because Hamas allows them and because they keep silent on certain things and they do things the way they want. So for that to happen, you need to have this international coalition in Gaza to actually possibly maybe even implement that, right? So nice and good on paper, but in practice, is it going to happen? Temporary governments by a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee in Gaza, tangentially overseen by an international committee or board of peace, including US, Arab, and European partners. All right, again, how is this going to happen? I'm so pessimistic. I'm like, okay, I see a clause. I'm like, all right, okay, fine. How? Um, the fact that you have US, Arab, and European partners is good. That is good. You can't just rely on Egyptians or Saudis or whatever. I don't know who, UAE. I don't know if they even want to put their head in that sick bed of Gaza. Um, but if you have some representatives from the Arab Muslim world, maybe from Jordan and Egypt and Saudi and UAE and stuff like that, and they're kind of not entering the politics too much. And then, and yeah, that support from the US and European partners, maybe it's possible to do something. Again, there's going to be the accusation from the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owens. Why are we doing this for Israel? Why are we working for Israel? Why are we blah, blah, blah? And this is, I would prefer not to see any of these boards of peace there. I'd prefer the local Gazans to be their own board of peace and just try to run Gaza in a peaceful manner. But that's something that's been forced on everyone. This is because of them that these international overseers need to kind of be there. It should be noted that there's not going to be any U.S. boots on the ground because of this. There was something I saw on Twitter also where there was a big headline, I think by Fox News even, U.S. to commit boots on the ground in Gaza, which is the nightmare of Americans. They don't want to get involved in this stuff, and that's not true. What they're doing is they're moving some of the troops that were stationed in the Middle East. I think it was like from CENTCOM or something that they said this, and they're going to be like in the vicinity. They're not taking troops from America or conscripting troops and sending them into Gaza. That's just a complete lie. This doesn't involve a U.S. police force on the ground in Gaza. Like, that's not happening, just so you know. At least as far as things currently stand, and I hope it stays that way. I do not think the U.S. should be fighting Israel's battles. I don't think the U.S. should be babysitting the Gazans. That's not the job of the U.S. The job of the U.S. is what Trump is doing, is to give strong leadership while also maintaining American interest, America first, and that's fine. Like, that's Israel never wanted America to fight its wars. We just want American political support and to buy American weapons. and there is also the aid, which I'm against, right? So that's me personally. I don't think, even though it's conditioned on buying weapons from the U.S., right? The 3.8 billion, whatever it is, I'm against that. I think it poisons the relationship. I think the U.S. should stop giving the military aid to Israel and just sell weapons to Israel. That's my personal opinion. You can disagree on that. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk to some people here. Why release all the prisoners to the terrorists before getting the deceased killed bodies back home? They're also not likely to just surrender for no reason. Yeah, no, they're not going to surrender for no reason. Okay, okay, sorry. Let's just go over some of the people here. We have a guy from Egypt, Karim El Gabali. So thank you for joining. Charafna and Ahlan Salan, welcome. They're also not likely to just surrender for no reason, says Ziv, and that's true. Why release all the prisoners to the terrorists before getting the deceased killed bodies back home? Did they release all the terrorists? Sorry, I just haven't followed that side of the story of what's happening with the Palestinians who are being released. But yeah, did you see Gaza now? I mean, I've seen the videos and the pictures. Yeah, it's it's in terrible shape. We all know that. Maybe I am way out of line, but I see so many strategic hurdles. You're not out of line. That's exactly what we were discussing when we're going over the points. We've been going over the points here, and there are a lot of hurdles. So yeah, no boots on the ground though. No boots. No boots on the ground. Like God forbid, boots on the ground. U.S. boots on the ground would be the worst thing. Um, it would be just because it would cause so much problems internally in the U.S. Like even literally, even if there were just 10 boots on the ground, like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and all those people, they would just go on and on and on. Like, no, it's not worth it. No U.S. boots on the ground, please. No U.S. boots on the ground. I don't want it. I don't think that's what Israelis want. Just no. Boots, U.S. boots on the ground is a big no. Okay, so oops, here I keep screwing up with this. All right, let's go back to our points. So we had the Board of Peace. Oh, governance by a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee. And then we have international body, a Board of Peace or international body with figures like Tony Blair mentioned in reporting to supervise governance, reconstruction, and oversight until Palestinian Authority reforms are completed. I don't know why they're taking Tony Blair for this. I know he has an institute, the Tony Blair Institute, and I'm not saying he doesn't have the qualifications to do it, but his name is just so sullied by the whole Iraq war that I just think it's just from a marketing perspective, this doesn't make sense to me. Why you would take okay, take George Bush, George Bush, Bush 43, right? It doesn't no, like I don't think this is a correct person to do this. Um, I'm not one of those cynical, oh, Iraq war was all about theft and this. I think, the people did at the time what they thought made sense. There were a lot of mistakes made there. It probably wasn't the right thing to do. And Tony Blair's name's on that. And I don't see why you would take someone like Tony Blair to do this. Doesn't make sense to me. Economic development plan, attract investment, rebuild infrastructure, create jobs. Okay, fine. Again, should be conditioned on the other parts of the thing being implemented. Creation of a special economic zone with reduced tariffs, preferential trade access to participate in rebuilding. There was also back in the Trump plan of his first presidency, back in 2020, I think, where he talked about creating like industrial zones outside Gaza along the border with Egypt, kind of in desert areas that are uninhabited in Israel. So there was that whole, creating some of them maybe inside Suez, inside Sinai, and like just trying to create industrial zones for Gaza where they can work and build stuff. Like again, I don't know how you do that. I'm not against it, but. And as I said, my point constantly, if you implement the other parts, if Hamas is out of the picture, go ahead, do it. But otherwise, no. No forced displacement of people. Those who wish to leave may do so and may return. Residents encouraged to stay and rebuild Gaza. Okay, fine. So that is like that makes sense. And that was the thing that Israel was accused of, right? They want to displace the Gazans. Some people did say things to that effect, like Smotrich. Some people like Netanyahu said, and Trump said this also, and I think this makes sense, which is not forced displacement, but people who want to leave should be allowed to leave. Yeah, so not stopping Gazans from leaving, preventing them from leaving. So if you live in Gaza and you find a way to get out of Gaza because you got a work permit somewhere, you got whatever, you can leave. And that part of the solution is to allow people to leave and reduce the stress on the, the resources there. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything immoral with allowing people to leave or even helping people who want to leave. Refugees, we saw tremendous amounts of effort and resources that went into helping the Syrian refugees when they left, helping the Ukrainian refugees, and only the Gazans. It was like, no, 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 you can't leave. You have to stay there because you can't leave. And that was putting them in danger. I think now also after the war, if people want to leave, they should be allowed to leave. And again, I'm not forcing anyone to take them, God forbid. I'm not saying you, the Europeans, Americans, start taking Gaza. Like, no, 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 I'm not saying that. But if they have permission from somewhere to go somewhere, then they can leave, and that's fine. Now, Hamas and other militant factions are excluded from future governance, directly or indirectly. Military, terror, offensive infrastructure to be destroyed and not rebuilt. So this is kind of like the first point. And again, it's like, how do you do that? This is, I mean, it's just, like, I see, this is politics. This is like peace plans. We've seen this so many times in the past. It's like, oh, here's a nice clause. Great, Hamas and other factions excluded from future governance. How? How? Like, the only way that was going to happen was if Israel went in and destroyed them. But, Israel was, the obstacles were put at every turn to stop Israel from doing that. So, it's not going to happen. We see already Hamas beating up opposition. I showed this video earlier. We can show it again. Here it is again, right? Oh, you see that in the live stream? Yeah. I don't know if you see my mouse here, but you see there's a zoom in guy. Look, they're just beating a guy on the floor. This is Hamas. This is Hamas. They are beating a guy on the floor. This is someone who maybe belonged to one of those tribal factions that were fighting Hamas in the strip, weren't accepting their control. And now, of course, the war's over, so the Hamas come out and, yeah. You hear the screams? You hear the screams and the shooting? That's what's going on over there. So how do you stop that? God knows. Really. Only Allah knows what to do in the face of that. I certainly don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know how you do that. Like, nice clause, how do you do it? No way to do it. Regional partners, Arab states, to provide security guarantees that Gaza will not pose threat to Israel or its neighbors. Okay, fine. Like, again, if Hamas fires rockets, what guarantees will Egypt provide? Like, none, right? Maybe they'll say some condemnatory words, but whatever. Establish an international stabilization force, ISF, to deploy immediately, work with vetted Palestinian police, secure borders, assistance, security, transition. Boots on the ground, that sounds like. I mean, who is going to provide those boots on the ground? And those boots on the ground are there because of Hamas wanting to retake control. And who's going to be blamed for that? Israel. Israel's going to be blamed for dragging boots on the ground into that situation. So I I don't know what to say about something like that. It's just the reality is that you need a force in there, an armed force in there to stop Popular Front, Hamas, whatever, Islamic Jihad from roaming the streets with their guns and terrorizing the place and controlling the place. Like that's just a reality. So it could have been Israel in there doing, but then it's genocide. If it's U.S. forces, it's boots on the ground working for Israel. That doesn't work. So I don't know who these boots on the ground are going to be, but it's like, the Arab states, I just do not see any reality where Egyptian soldiers or Saudi soldiers are in Gaza fighting like armed militants. They'll never do that. They'll be seen as traitors. It's like, this is just a huge problem. I mean, I don't know who the hell is going to be that stabilization force. Maybe after Hamas had been properly defeated, then you can station them there to kind of mop up. Okay, but like it's just not going to work. Like, I don't think it's going to work. Israel will not annex or permanently occupy Gaza. Israeli forces will withdraw based on milestones tied to demilitarization, handing over territory gradually, except possibly a security perimeter until stability. So this is also, okay, Israel doesn't want to completely withdraw. We heard Israel Katz say, Israel defense minister, say that Israel is like going to dismantle the tunnels still. They're still going to be dismantling. Then Mehdi Hassan, the pro-jihad journalist, said that Israel is saying they're going to continue bombing Gaza, even though Katz didn't say that. But, he's like, how are you going to dismantle tunnels if you don't bomb Gaza? Well, maybe not bomb, but you definitely have to be in there to do that. So again, problem. If Hamas delays or rejects the plan's measures, aid stabilization will begin in terror-free areas that have been handed over or cleared. That is an excellent clause. Excellent clause. Finally, I say something like, after all this skepticism, that is an excellent clause. Meaning, if Hamas does not withdraw, then you start to implement the plan based on region. So this area, there's no Hamas, they're not controlling, maybe some clan takes control, maybe there the international force is in effect. There you get the aid. There you get the assistance. There we implement the plan. Where Hamas is, plan is off the table. And like this is something that needs to be implemented also just in general in the conflict in the West Bank, maybe, where there's no pay for slay for terrorists, where people wipe their name off UNRWA registry, so there's no more right of return into Israel. There you get everything. Where those things are not in effect, you get nothing. And that's the incentive structure. And that's okay. Like if you live in Hebron, and we saw this with the clans, right? There was the whole thing about the clans in the Hebron area signing a separate peace deal with Israel outside the Palestinian Authority, where you are clearly committed to building your own society there. You're not committed in return to Israel. Then you get all the perks. Then you get the money, the endless money, and then you get the instead of the money going to UNRWA, it goes just to Palestinian schools, not to UNRWA. It goes to Palestinian hospitals. And like I'm not against giving them aid, like give them gazillion aid. I don't care. But the question is like it's in the service of what goal? And if you can't get something with the whole leadership, then you do it locally. This is an excellent clause. This is the best clause I've seen so far in the agreement. Damn, I've been looking into my light here. All right, let's just do that a little bit. Establish interfaith dialogue, de-radicalization programs to change narratives, promote peaceful coexistence. Okay, fine, nice. While, like, I don't know how many people are going to be in the interfaith dialogue, but okay. While reconstruction and reform advance, including reforms by Palestinian Authority, there may emerge a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination or statehood, but not immediately conditional on reforms. Again, the number one thing that needs to happen for Palestinian statehood is to disband UNRWA. The refugee agency for Palestinians only. So there's one refugee agency for the whole world, and there's one refugee agency for the Palestinians, which is UNRWA. The one for the whole world says there's 3 ways to end refugee status, which is you return to your country, you gain citizenship in the country that you fled to, or you are resettled in a third country. And then there's the Palestinian refugee case, which is there's only one way to end refugeehood, which is you have to return to the place you fled from, but not just you, your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and forever your descendants have that right? That's called right of return. And this is the symbolic way to oppose Israel's existence, to keep it alive as like a sacred right of the Palestinians. Like, we will return someday, right of return, right? And that's not compatible with Israel existing. You're not going to bring 10 million or 8 million or 6 million, whatever it is. Now it's 6 million. In the future, it's just going to grow. We're going to go to Haifa. We're going to go to Akko. Okay, so this is just like a march to destroy Israel. That's the most important clause, the most important thing that needs to happen when we talk about reforms, like reform. But this isn't a reform. UNRWA is funded by the UN. It's funded by international organizations. Like, they should just disband it and just give the money to the whatever. Like, give it to the Palestinian Authority, and then if they squander it, they squander it. Like, just don't, like, UNRWA disbanded. Like you say, if you end your refugee status, you end UNRWA, then you get everything. Like, that should be the way it is. U.S. will facilitate a long-term dialogue between Israel and Palestinians to agree in political rising for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. Okay. All right. So there is the plan, my folks, my friends. That is the plan. And we are back. Oops. Here. And let's see the questions. All right. Well, we lost a lot of viewers. Is a civil war slowly starting to develop after a clip, person yelling by gunshot? Wait, what's going on here in my live stream? This needs to go like this. Okay. And that's what we're getting. All right, fine. So, yeah, I mean, look, there's been that kind of stuff has been happening there for a while. Obviously, yeah, it's a question. Look, Hamas, they control the strip. They want to continue controlling the strip. And like there's going to be some local gangs who are armed who are going to fight them. But I don't know if it's a civil war because I don't know if there's anyone who's strong enough to oppose Hamas. There was this clan there that were in part of the Gaza that they like Hamas tried to take their territory and they fought them off. But now that Israel isn't there anymore, so I don't see how any of these groups can resist the power of Hamas, right? Anthony, great on paper, next to impossible to implement. Hamas won't leave, which will lead to Israel going back in within a year. Probably. Like this again. It's short-sightedness. But it was kind of like Trump forced the deal, and Trump did do amazing things here. But it's just not. It's beyond what Trump can do, right? It's just the reality of the world that Hamas controls Gaza. Their goal is to annihilate Israel. They have a lot of support from the people in their ideology. Maybe not in all their methods, maybe not in the results of how terrible Gaza looks. So you have to, to try to bring in a different governance there, you have to remove them forcibly. And then you're still going to have Gazans who believe they are refugees from Israel, right? They're not living in Gaza. They don't want to develop Gaza. They want to end Israel. And you have to deal with that and the Palestinian Authority, which believes the same thing. So like you're still screwed. I mean, like this is a good end to the war from Israel's perspective, like as good as could be considering how isolated Israel was. So it's like, Israel is like you have to take this deal, but again, it's like it's what happens next, right? What happens next? What is the future of the West Bank annexation? No, that's off the table right now. That's there's no way that's going forward after the war. Um, and I can't stand the stupid right wingers who talk about it now. Like, where do you live? These people live under a rock. It's insane. And like they're just ideologically, they're like Hamas. Well, no, they're not like Hamas. I mean, don't quote me on that. But like they're stupid and they're ideologically motivated and just have no, like they're just stupid. Like to go now, and I remember also while Gaza was going on, and there was like the conference to settle Gaza, and this, and this is stupid. I do hope those people don't talk now and harm Israel's interests. But yeah, Antoine Zikri from Egypt says, "Am Yisrael Chai." Thanks. Good to see you in the live stream. I think I've seen you around here before on my YouTube or maybe my Insta as well. So yeah, good to have you on board. And by the way, speaking of Egypt, Trump went to Egypt now, and we can find some of that. He landed in Egypt. He met with Sisi, and this is the next phase. This is in Sharm el-Sheikh, meeting with some of the Arab leaders, see, look, peace. This is from the White House streaming. Peace 2025. This is in Egypt. So this is like the next phase. We're going to switch again to screen sharing mode. And this is, let's take a look. That's where he went. After he was in Israel, he was in the Knesset. So yeah, yay, we signed, stopped, Trump, oh, this is, here we go, it's more clips. Look at all those people there. All these imported dignitaries. So yeah, I mean, Trump got something big done here. Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace. This is in Egypt. Credit to him, got something big done here. But What will be the results? A lot of photo ops. That's nice. That's nice. And like I said, again, just big credit to Trump. He achieved something. There he is with Orban. He achieved something big here, and no taking away from him that he's made stuff happen. He's got the hostages back. He's got on paper guarantees to disarm Hamas and kind of change things in Gaza, but also a lot of concessions were made. A lot of cooperation with terrible actors, Turkey, Qatar, Hamas. So there's flaws here, but that's like that was always kind of one of the good things about Trump is that he doesn't. You can spend a lot of time. I'm a commentator, right? So I can sit here and say that Erdogan is a Muslim Brotherhood terror supporter, and like be moral, right? But Trump, he needs to get things done, so he'll go and cooperate with Erdogan, and he'll say nice things. Oh, President Erdogan, I have a good relationship. I like him very much, President Erdogan. We have billions and billions of dollars in deals and all this. Like, I don't know what you think of my impression, but he does that. He's able to do the niceties, and also to to be scary, right? To put on the pressure. Like if you don't do the niceties, it's going to go the other way. So I think this is Trump's version of diplomacy, getting things done, um, and keeping in Israel's interests on the board as much as possible. It's credit to him. But of course, there are some things that Trump cannot control, and like there's like how this is going to be implemented. This is of course, a lot of the problems will be after Trump is out of office, right? So like Trump is 20, he leaves, the election will be 2028, so it'll be like, okay, what will happen by then and after or whatever. But like in his term, ended the war, got the hostages back, put a plan in place, got everyone to sign on it. He did the maximum he could do as the U.S. president in his term, and that's on him. That's on his legacy. And thank you to President Trump for making this happen. There are flaws in the deal, as we just saw, as we were looking at, big problems. But considering what he was up against and what Israel was up against, this is pretty good. Pretty good from Israel's perspective, pretty good from Trump's perspective, America's perspective, and we have to roll with it for now. So yeah. All right, let's do some questions. Shama Shechmidin, says Antoine Zikri. Yeah, that's what we just shows. Our Dutch Prime Minister Schoof. I don't recognize him. I didn't recognize. Dude was sitting front and center earlier, waiting for the presser in an essentially empty room with a towel on his head. Who are you talking about? Who was doing that? Anyway, let us look at our poll. We have only 34 votes, and these live streams are just not what they were. And is the beginning of a real peace, as Trump said. 32% say yes, 68% say no. Oh, God. So, that's what I mean, I agree with that. Yeah. All right, guys, chance to ask some questions. I've done a lot of talking. Let's see what's the latest with Hamas. Let's see what's the latest with Hamas. I'm gonna go, where you get a lot of this stuff? You know what I did when I was working as a journalist? I would go into Telegram, into Arab groups. I was improving my Arabic reading. I could also use Google Translate if necessary. And there's also some Israeli groups there that give you a lot of really interesting information. So it's, I mean, let's try and figure out a bit what's going on inside Gaza now. What do you guys say? You guys can help me if you want. If there's any Arabic readers and stuff, then you're welcome to go. So I am looking for trying to get an idea of what's going on inside. So yeah, there is here well, this is I don't know if to show you this because this is I don't know what YouTube is going to do to me, but so we have here an execution essentially in Gaza. Do you guys want to see that? It's pretty gruesome. Um, Pretty gruesome stuff. Let me just see what guys are saying. Let's go back into the live stream. Yeah. So here, look. So just take a look at this. What's going on in Gaza now, right? I'm going in my Telegram. Beginning of the video. This is what's going on. Hamas is in control. See Hamas headbands. Execution. I'm gonna fast forward because I don't want to get like a demonetization or something. But there they are dead. So yeah, executed in the town square at point blank range by Hamas. By Hamas. That is Hamas. They are there. They are in control, and they are executing people. Who are they executing? They are executing dissidents, people who opposed them during the war, perhaps, people who spoke out against them, people from rival clans. This is what terrorists do, and this is what dictators do. It's not like who are they executing? They are executing their opponents. They are executing their opponents, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see. I don't know who those people are specifically, but they're dead now. And like, I have, my compassion for Gaza is a complicated thing, if you can call it that. I didn't like the way Israelis were like constantly accosted and called heartless for not showing enough compassion for Gaza. Wait a second, is the live stream stuck? My computer seems stuck. What's this? What is this?